Title: Unraveling the Myth. Was Atlantis real? Atlantis. A name whispered through thousands of years of human history. A legend that has inspired explorers, scientists, philosophers, and dreamers across continents and centuries. A civilization said to be advanced, wealthy, powerful, and destroyed in a single day and night of tragedy. But was Atlantis ever real? Or was it simply a story, a myth created to teach a lesson? To unravel this mystery, we must journey deep into time, across oceans and continents, through ancient texts, scientific discoveries, and the shifting sands of human memory. Atlantis is not just a story about a lost city. It is a window into humanity's desire for meaning, origin, and identity. The world first heard of Atlantis over 2,300 years ago in the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato. In two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, Plato describes a mighty island civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time. He calls Atlantis a great and wonderful empire, rich in resources, advanced in architecture, and unmatched in naval power. According to Plato, Atlantis lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. He describes it as larger than Libya and Asia combined, controlled by 10 kings who governed with wisdom and unity. Its capital city featured concentric rings of land and water, connected by bridges and canals, protected by massive walls gleaming with precious metals, temples covered in gold, gardens, palaces, aqueducts, a society thriving in prosperity. But something happened. The Atlanteans grew proud and corrupt, Plato writes. Their moral decline angered the gods, and in a cataclysm sent from the heavens, Atlantis sank beneath the ocean in a single day and night of misfortune. This dramatic tale captured the world's imagination, so much so that for centuries, people believed it could be real. The question remains, was Plato recounting a true event, preserving ancient memory, or simply crafting a fictional allegory? To answer that, we must first understand Plato himself. He was not a historian. He was a philosopher. His stories often blended symbolism, ethics, and political theory. Many scholars argue that Atlantis was never meant to be taken literally. They say Plato created it as a moral warning, a story about the dangers of greed, corruption, and imperial ambition. To them, Atlantis is like a mirror held up to humanity, showing what happens when moral decay overtakes a once great civilization. But this explanation, while logical, has never satisfied everyone. Why would Plato provide such detailed geographic descriptions? Why add specific measurements? Why mention Solon, the famous Athenian lawmaker, claiming that Egyptian priests passed the story down through generations? Plato could have made up a parable without all these elaborate details. And so the possibility remains. Perhaps Atlantis was based on a real memory, distorted through time, exaggerated, embellished, but grounded in truth. If that is the case, we must search for evidence, and the clues take us across the globe. One of the most compelling theories points to the island of Santorini in the Aegean Sea, known in ancient times as Thera. Around 1600 BCE, a massive volcanic eruption tore the island apart. It was one of the largest eruptions in recorded history, destroying settlements, triggering tsunamis, and causing ecological collapse. The Minoan civilization, one of the earliest advanced cultures in Europe, suffered greatly. Could this have been Atlantis? The Minoans were skilled sailors, builders, artists, and traders. Their cities had paved roads, running water, and complex architecture. The eruption of Thera may have inspired later legends of a powerful civilization destroyed suddenly by nature. But there is a major problem. The Minoans were not located beyond the Pillars of Hercules. They were inside the Mediterranean, not outside it. And their timeline does not match Plato's description of an event 9,000 years older. Still, the similarities are striking. A rich, advanced island society, wiped out by a catastrophic eruption. It is easy to imagine stories of the Minoans spreading across the ancient world, morphing over time into the legend of Atlantis. Another theory places Atlantis near Spain, along the coast of Andalusia. In the marshlands of the Doñana National Park, satellite imagery has revealed circular formations and geometric patterns beneath the ground. Some researchers believe this area once held a great city, destroyed by flooding. Ancient writings describe a mysterious Bronze Age culture called Tartessos, wealthy, powerful, and eventually lost. Could Tartessos be Atlantis? Perhaps. But once again, the evidence remains unclear. The structures might be natural formations or remnants of unrelated settlements. Without artifacts, texts, or definitive proof, the theory remains unproven. Others point to the Azores, a group of islands in the Atlantic Ocean. They lie along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a tectonic boundary capable of producing dramatic geological events. Some believe these islands are the peaks of a much larger landmass that once existed and later sank. Throughout history, sailors have reported strange ruins, unnatural formations, and sunken walls near the region. But science shows no evidence of a massive continent sinking in the Atlantic. While volcanic activity can shape islands, entire landmasses do not simply collapse into the sea. Plate tectonics does not work that way. The ocean floor structure disproves the idea of a lost continent, at least in the Atlantic, and yet, the mystery persists. Some researchers argue that Atlantis could refer to a civilization far from the Atlantic. They point to ancient cultures in the Americas, Africa, or even Antarctica. These theories often rely on speculative interpretations, misunderstood maps, or unreliable sources. But they show how deeply the idea of Atlantis resonates worldwide. Why does this legend persist? Why does humanity refuse to let Atlantis fade into myth? Because Atlantis represents something powerful. The idea of a forgotten golden age, a time when humans lived with great knowledge, harmony, and prosperity, before everything was lost. Nearly every culture has a story like this. A lost homeland, a great flood, a vanished kingdom. The ancient Sumerians, Egyptians, Maya, Celts, and Hindus all have myths of ancient cities destroyed by water or war. Perhaps these myths were inspired by real events, ice age floods, rising seas, volcanic eruptions, or asteroid impacts. Humanity's oldest memories are carved not into stone, but into stories. These stories blend truth with imagination, forming legends that survive for thousands of years. So where does Atlantis fit into this greater tapestry? Let's examine one intriguing possibility: that Atlantis was not a single city, but a memory of multiple ancient cultures. Over time, stories of flooded settlements, destroyed civilizations, and lost lands may have merged into a single mythic narrative. Plato may have been preserving fragments of older traditions. During the last ice age, sea levels were over 120 meters lower. Vast coastal regions, home to early human settlements, were submerged as the earth warmed. Entire communities vanished beneath the waves. For ancient peoples, it must have been devastating. The memory of these losses could have evolved into legends of a lost world beneath the sea. There is also the enigmatic Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a site older than the pyramids by thousands of years. It challenges our understanding of ancient human development. If such advanced structures existed long before recorded history, what else might have existed and disappeared without trace? Atlantis could symbolize forgotten chapters of human civilization, moments of brilliance erased by time, catastrophe, or natural change. Now let's return to Plato's account. Many scholars note that these dialogues contain symbolic elements representing ideal societies, political warning signs, or philosophical messages. Plato describes Atlantis as a society that grew arrogant, indulged in excess, and turned away from virtue. Its destruction serves as a moral lesson. But myth is not the opposite of truth. Many myths contain kernels of historical reality. Sea level rise, climate change, and natural disasters have shaped human history. Plato may have been combining real geological events, ancient memories, and philosophical themes. If we search for physical traces of Atlantis, we must consider technology beyond simple ruins. Oceanographers have mapped only a small percentage of the seafloor. Vast underwater landscapes remain unexplored. The ocean conceals mountains, plains, ancient riverbeds, even ice age coastlines. Somewhere in these hidden depths, we may one day find ruins or settlements never before seen. But what would count as proof? A city with concentric rings, artifacts older than known civilizations, texts describing the catastrophe? Perhaps. But even then, the Atlantis of popular imagination, a utopian super-civilization with futuristic technology, is unlikely. More realistic is the possibility of a complex Bronze Age culture lost to time, exaggerated by storytellers over thousands of years. And even if Atlantis never physically existed, its impact is very real. It has shaped exploration, inspired literature, fueled scientific inquiry, and ignited curiosity about humanity's origins. Atlantis is more than a place. It is an idea that speaks to both the greatness and fragility of human achievement. A reminder that no matter how advanced a civilization becomes, nature can reshape the world overnight. A warning about hubris, pride, and the consequences of forgetting our moral foundations. As we unravel the myth of Atlantis, we are also unraveling the story of ourselves, our hopes, fears, dreams, and memories. Atlantis is the echo of human longing, the desire to recover what was lost, the belief that somewhere, sometime, a golden age existed and could exist again. Was Atlantis real? Perhaps not in the way Plato described, but something inspired the legend, something ancient, powerful, and unforgettable. Maybe it was a real city destroyed by disaster. Maybe it was a memory of Ice Age floods. Maybe it was the Minoans, Tartessos, or another forgotten culture. Or maybe it was simply a story, a warning crafted by a philosopher. The truth is this: Atlantis lives because we need it to, because it invites us to search deeper into our past, our world, and our imagination. And until definitive evidence is found, Atlantis will remain suspended between myth and reality, a mystery waiting to be solved.